Aloha and welcome to HiNow Daily. I'm Rachel Picaro, and as I mentioned, this is day 2 for me here on Maui, and I'm so excited because we are actually highlighting some of the local nonprofits out here on Maui on the Valley Isle who have jumped in, back in August of 2023 with the fires that are happening out in Lahaina and upcountry. And we really are here just to highlight the incredible work that they're doing out here. And I wanted to shine the light here on Imua Family Services. I am here with their executive director. I've got Dean Wong here. Dean, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Aloha. It's so great to be with you and to talk about Imua Family Services.
Yes, let's talk story about what you folks do. So if you can give people a background on what you folks do, who you are, that would be great. And I wanted to walk along as we're here at this incredible garden that you're going to mention.
I know. It's really beautiful here. Well, to start off, Imua Family Services began in 1947. If you can imagine, Hawaii was not yet a state, we were still a territory, and the organization started as a need that parents had to help children with polio at the time, which was the epidemic that was sweeping across the nation and really impacted children, and especially here in Hawaii. And I say that because I think it's really beautiful to know that 77 years later, this organization is still thriving and still meeting the needs of what it was intended to do, which was to help children. Now, of course, today, children's needs have grown to include children with special needs, developmental delays, disabilities, learning disabilities, trauma, abuse, neglect, grief, loss. There are so many things that impact children in our society today, and our organization continues to meet those needs through clinical services and programs that include services like occupational therapy, speech-language pathology, physical therapy, behavioral sciences, social work and care coordination, and inclusion preschool, and just so many other things that we can do to support children in their time of need, and of course to support their families, because the goal is to help all children reach their full potential in life.
I love that. I love your mission. I love what you folks are doing here on property. There is 6 acres of property here at Imua Family Services. And as you look around, take a look at these incredible structures. Just being able to have the kids out and about, learning through play, being in their natural habitat, being in nature. Tell me how beautiful that is for them.
Yeah, well, this is really beautiful. And you can see, the most beautiful structures here, of course, are these 120-year-old monkey pod trees, of which there are more than 7 that create an incredible canopy on this 6 acres of land. This 6 acres is very special in Maui because it's part of the Wailuku Historic District. It was originally the home of the sugarcane plantation manager in the sugar plantation era days, the William Dickey house on the property that was built in 1937 as an example, and the original irrigation Avai system that intersects on this property that provided water and irrigation to the sugarcane fields that were all around this property. And dating before then, of course, this was Kahikili's compound, and so really significant in our Native Hawaiian history here in Maui community. So I think it's really fitting that today this property is for children and for families, and that it brings the community back onto this property. For a long time, this property was held as private property, and so people did not have access to it. Even some of my board members, remember, who grew up in this area were like, and the mayor himself even said, I grew up just down the street from here in Wailuku, but we never got to see what this property was. It was always for the muck,
Right.
And now this property is for everybody. It's for families to come to. It's for children and the services that we provide. We're able to do individual therapies here. We're able to run our inclusion preschool program here in an outdoor nature-based setting. And we're able to bring groups together, from expectant moms to support groups to families who are grieving the loss of a relative or a family member. So all of the programs that we do at Imua Family Services we're able to do in an area that I think helps people connect back to themselves and connect in nature, and just reconnect with each other, which is so important, especially since COVID.
And then with the wildfires that happened in August of 2023, folks opened up a second preschool. It was like an emergency preschool to invite those keiki from Lahaina to come over and join you here on property. And that's what's actually behind us here.
Absolutely. And as no noble as that sounds, and it is, you know, we responded to the fires as a nonprofit organization, quite honestly, in the same way that we responded when COVID first happened and the community had to shut down. We had to open up and expand our resources. So I remember in 2020 when COVID first started and the government and communities were shutting down, we were opening up to make our facilities available for children that needed childcare and essential workers that needed childcare services so they could continue to meet the needs of the community. And likewise, we did the same thing after August 8. I remember meeting with my staff the morning those fires were still burning, and we immediately devised a plan to set up childcare and it wasn't preschool, but it was childcare services for families who had now been displaced from the fires, that were living in beach parks and all over the island, but they needed to attend to what, you know, to the most immediate needs. How are they going to find food and shelter and the resources that they needed? And so we took care of their children so that they could do that. And then we had a series of other programs and services that we just kept expanding on so that we could be there for our community and to meet the needs of their children, because it was such an emotional time and it was such a devastating time for so many people because the loss was so sudden. And of course, caring for your children becomes your first primal instinct to do.
Absolutely.
But how can you take care of food and shelter and healthcare and schooling and so many other things when there's just so much going on around you? So we tried to be that resource for families so that we could carry that burden for them so they could look to other needs.
Absolutely. We are so grateful for the work that you folks are doing here with Imua Family Services. So stick with us, because throughout the show we are going to be checking in with some other staff here, your team members who have been helping you folks on this incredible journey from last year to now, and the continued efforts that are happening here on Maui. So if people want to get more information, if you could drop that website, and then we'll be back.
Absolutely. So it's really easy. DiscoverImua.com. So discover Imua, I-M-U-A, the Hawaiian word that means to move forward.com. Everything about our organization, our programs, our services are on that website, and all social media is at Discover Imua.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, we will be back here, but we will send things back to Oahu for now, to Kainoa Carlson. What's happening, Kainoa?